To silence their phones. And I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm noting the presence of a quorum. Action items. Okay, number one, approval of the minutes of the October 20th, 2022 meeting of the fund. Okay, any amendments to the minutes? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections or abstentions? Carries unanimously. Resolution number 2, resolution of the City University Construction Fund authorizing renovations to the Pearl third floor at New York City College of Technology. This is a resolution to authorize DASNY to proceed to construct and complete the Pearl Building third floor project and to authorize CUCF to provide capital funding in an amount of $11,846,000. I now call on Executive Director Mohammed Atalia to give me an explanation of this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Pearl Street third floor project scope of work consists of the complete renovation of the third floor of the building and the construction of new administrative offices, suites, and support spaces as described in the resolution. This construction will bring the third floor into conformance with the current building codes, provide a state-of-the-art facility for 4 administrative departments, and bring about 21,000 gross square feet of space into a state of good repair. These administrative offices will be brought from currently leased spaces to this building, which is another opportunity to reduce the leased spaces for this for the college. Construction is anticipated to commence in December 2022 and be substantially completed by February 2024.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call for a motion on this, please.
Hey, I have some questions.
Oh, yes, we're going to.
After the motion?
After the
Sorry.
motion. I'm going to open the discussion.
So moved.
So moved, thank you. Senator, please.
Say thank you. I have quite a few questions.
Sure.
And let me say that I have the utmost respect for the college, for the president, whom I have known since his days as the interim president of Queens College, where he did a terrific job. But having said that, you mentioned that you will be able to move leased occupants into this space, and in no particular order. Who owns this property? Who owns the building? Is it, or let me rephrase that, is it CUNY or the construction fund that owns the building, or?
The current building, when we're renovating this work?
Yes, the third
Yeah.
floor, the building containing the third floor.
The Pearl Street building. It's either CUNY or DASNY.
DASNY probably owns it.
Yeah.
DASNY owns most of our properties in fee.
Yeah, most of, you raise a very good point. For whatever reason, the decision was made a number of years ago that DASNY would hold.
2008, I read that part.
Yeah. For the life of me, I don't understand why, the reasoning behind that, maybe.
Originally, it was because the property served as collateral for the bonds. When
Right.
the bonds, so DASNY had to hold the property to serve as collateral against the bonds. Now that DASNY, the collateral is personal income taxes and other revenue streams.
Yes.
It's not necessary, but the reason why they were all in DASNY's name originally was to serve as collateral for the bonds
Does that,
they issued.
that's a very interesting response, because DASNY then must be a major property holder in New York State, if that's the case.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. And that is a question anytime we try to do a transaction, Senator, is just who owns the property. And to make it even more complicated, there's very often a reverter right in there. in terms of where the proceeds go. So there's no simple answer to this.
Yeah, and I think it raises a lot more questions as to an improvement made by the CUNY Construction Fund for a property it doesn't own.
So it doesn't own it, but we do have a lease with DASNY that CUNY has operational control and dominion of the property. So we,
How long is that lease for? Is this the one that was, the agreement was 2008?
I think that's 2008 agreement, yeah.
How
It doesn't expire, I don't think. It's just,
In perpetuity?
I don't think there's an outside date on it, because it is what allows CUNY to use these properties for its purposes.
Could we just check that
Yeah.
and get back to the senator?
I have quite a number
Sure,
of
keep
other
going.
questions,
Keep
and
going. We got
I
plenty of time.
apologize. but
No, not at all. There's plenty of time.
This is an $11.8 million appropriation, and I think it deserves, full transparency. On the $11.8 million appropriation, how much of that is going to the construction company and how much is going to DASNY? What are they charging for their administrative costs?
Is around 8 million, it's going to the construction, 8.5, around 8.5. Goes
Yeah, but in addition to the construction, there are other costs for design and
design
other
services.
Will you get back to me on that?
Yeah,
I
sure.
really, seems to me that the agencies would throughout the state, would save a lot of money if they issued, which I know is not possible. What caught my attention was the fact that this building is 100 years old. It says it was built in 1922. And we're renovating a part of it. What is the square footage, roughly, of that third floor improvement? Because there are other entities using the building that are not related to CUNY, from what I understand.
The renovation square foot is about 21,000. It's exactly 20,990 square feet. This is the size of the renovation in the third floor for that purpose.
Okay. Let me just go on to a couple of other questions
Take
that
your
I
time,
scribbled next to the whereases. It says that New York State and New York City have appropriated capital funding to CUCF. Was that in a line item in the New York State budget that was passed? Or is that from the appropriation, whatever it was,
Correct, yes.
for CUNY?
Yes, it's a state fund for capital for CUNY. It is not particularly appropriated for this specific project, as you know, we get
Yeah,
the
that's what
appropriation
I'm asking.
annually. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so this is part of this appropriation.
So this money is coming from the state appropriation for capital or for critical maintenance?
That is correct.
It says that the Pearl Building third floor project is anticipated to commence in December 2022. Not much time left. Are they planning to adhere to that?
Yeah, well, that date, because of the assumption that we're bringing to your attention here in this December committee. So the start will be either imminent soon or immediately after the new year. We're talking about within.
Okay.
Yeah.
Within 30 days, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really what I'm asking.
Yeah.
The resolution talks about the program management agreement requires DASNY to comply with the WMBE. Have they done so?
They do, and regularly they do provide us with reports on the compliance. The target is 30%, and our procurement team work with them to gather this information regularly, and we report on it publicly.
So they are in compliance?
I would say yes.
Because this hasn't always been the case. My colleagues and all have been talking about WMBE projects. Would you get back to me on that?
Sure.
So DASNY owns the building, that's really what I'm asking.
We could confirm that as the CUCF Council indicated that most of our CUNY properties are owned by DASNY.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a high likelihood that this is the case, but we'll confirm.
Do you have any idea? You probably have to get back to me, and I apologize for not asking you these questions in advance,
No
but
apologies
we
necessary.
had, I got back from Albany, upstate, just the other day, Tuesday night. Do you have any idea of the assessed valuation of the building? What it's worth?
The current replacement value, we might have that number in our records.
Yeah,
We'll
would you-
also check and get back to
And
you.
the reason I'm asking is because the 11 million is, to me, a very large amount for 20,000 or so square feet. Just one floor. Do you calculate, this is really my last question, do you calculate the anticipated life of the useful life of the building?
The current building or after the renovation?
No, this particular 1922.
Yeah, we look at the structure integrity. Obviously, like the interior work of the building in a bad shape, and it needs a lot of improvement. But the integrity of the current structure would sustain this improvement. A big part, Senator, of what we're doing with the condition assessment that this board have approved this contract, the facility condition assessment system-wide, that will commence on January 3rd, and it will take about 12 months to complete, assessing all the condition of all buildings in the CUNY system. And this full assessment will provide answers to many of the questions you're asking in terms of the expected replacement value of a building, the remaining life of a building, the remaining life of each and every component in a building. So it will look actually at the building in a forensic analysis that will give us a lot of information.
Are there any violations against the building, particularly from the TOB?
We need to check that, yes.
The reason I'm asking these questions is that there are so many other campuses in the CUNY system that I read about in the newspaper where the heating system wasn't working, things like that. And here we're putting a lot of money into part of a floor, not even I guess it's the entire third floor. That answers my question. I will vote for it, but I really think we've got to take a look at the entire CUNY system and the buildings that are owned by DASNY, because this is a lot of taxpayer money that I'm concerned about.
Sure.
But I thank you for your answers.
Understood, Senator. And as I said, the project we're undertaking now will bring to light many of those answers, yes. Very good, thank you.
Vice Chancellor, would it be possible, as the condition report is prepared, to circulate it rather than wait for, the whole thing to be done in a year?
Yeah, if this is a desire, we could bring as the reports are finalized for given
Right.
buildings, we could bring
Right.
that, yeah.
That would be helpful. I think that would go a long way to making people feel better.
Actually, the question of ownership of the property where we make the improvements. And my discovery today that DASNY owns these.
Most of us.
Most of them. Does DASNY own the buildings that we spoke about for the Hunter College? Both the 27th Street site, that was in the last meeting or the meeting before, where I raised certain questions, and the hole in the ground. What is it, 74th Street or something? I don't remember.
The answer to that?
The answer, who owns those properties?
DASNY owns some of them. I had this conversation with the GC, and, yeah.
But I would like specifically to know those
Please,
two.
could we get a definitive answer?
Hunter College,
Yes, I understand.
those
the
two
question.
sites.
Will provide this answer.
Yeah, I'd like to know that
That's-
too. That would be helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody, are you satisfied? sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I
I will
mean,
be,
you're satisfied.
hopefully with the
Right.
answer.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to stand in the way.
okay, thank you. I'm going to call for a vote on this matter. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Motion carries unanimously. The report of the chair, the next meeting will be held on February 23rd at 9:30. Are there any further items of business? Okay, hearing none, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moved.
Move.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. I don't hear any abstentions or objections. Okay, so the meeting's adjourned. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. Same
Thank
to
you.
Yeah,
Happy holidays to
everybody have a nice holiday season.
Happy holidays.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, 23 is good.
yeah, good.
Yeah.